1 minute. This time I believe I have everything set up correctly. Then I'm going to take just 1 minute. If you pop in here and you can hear me, which I believe that you can, let me know. Okay. Everything looks like it's on. I don't know why on earth that's still coming up. Okay, everything looks good. All right, so I'm changing it up a little bit. Let's see here if I can move this. Yeah, that'll be fine. Okay, here we go. Now, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Everything looks good, and just keep everything going up here. So thank you for being patient with me. I want to make sure that I have everything where I need it. All right, first off tonight, how's everybody doing? Man, I've had several different pages of notes since last week. We've had a ton, absolute ton of news that is just broken since last Sunday, right? The Twitter files and everything else going on, the election, everything. So I guess it's a good thing that I wasn't able to go live over the weekend. A lot of things going on with the family, and we had a great time. It was a action-packed weekend, but I'm here tonight. And first off, I want to let everybody know that things are looking up for 2023 and how we're going to move forward on these live streams and the YouTube channel and everything. I'm getting everything set up for guests, and so I should have some really cool things going on next year that we can talk with people about. Different people from the community, hopefully some of our representatives, and just kind of moving the conversation forward. So that's what it's all about. I do want to thank one of my sponsors, Roy's Bonding Company. Thank you to Roy Sr. for helping out with this, giving us a place to stream from and to set up. Also, some of the equipment that he's helped us out with, we're just getting better and better. I also want to thank Timothy Ryan Short, who is more than willing to help out with certain needs that we have to move things forward. And it's people like you guys that make this possible, make it where I can do this sort of thing. So I know people have asked me before. I don't have any kind of PayPal or whatever, maybe later we can set up something if people want to give, but that's not really what this is about right now. So but I also send a special shout out to one of my childhood friends. We grew up together, Marcus Waters. He owns Stronghold Gaming, and he has always supported me in anything I've ever done, especially with this movement. He's been more than willing to house us for certain events and do things. And I got this really awesome computer and I got upgraded here at the office, and that he built. So I just want to send a shout out to him. Thank you. It's working great, and hopefully we'll be able to do a lot more with this equipment moving forward. So you can check him out on Facebook and Marketplace, and he builds computers and he dabbles in all kinds of stuff. He's one of the smartest dudes I know, and with the most common sense. And he's like a meme king. So I really I really like his memes. But thank you guys, everybody who is really helping out and making this thing move forward. So tonight I want to start with Walker and Warnock. We're going to kind of cover the election a little bit. I have several notes here. And if I'd have done this a few days ago, I'd have probably been really just a lot more fired up than I am right now. So I'm just going to try to take it a little bit slower tonight. I'm cramming too much information, and I don't really want to get my points across. So I did some simple addition, and I'm just going to look at starting off December 6th, what we already know, right? The let me pull up my I lost all my, hang on a second. Here we go. So let's go to the U.S. Georgia general runoff. Okay. Now I'm using the NPR version because that's what I was using in the original election, and it's easy for me to use because I'm very familiar with it. I've been using it for years, but it's pretty close, give or take a little bit, right? Because I think the voting is still 99%. So you had Raphael Warnock, and this was in the December 6th runoff, right? 51.4% with 1,816,096 votes against Herschel Walker, 48.6% at 1,719,483 votes. So that's roughly a difference of about 96,613 votes. Okay. Total in the runoff election was a little over 3.5 million people came out all over the state to vote. That's huge. I think that was record breaking, but that was pretty big, right? So I'm like, wow. I know that people were griping and the numbers, and there's voters, we'll get to all that in a minute, but that was pretty crazy. So kudos to everybody who went out and actually voted and really were passionate about getting out there with the vote, voting for their candidate. We'll get to that as well, but I want to cover a little bit on the previous election. All right, just handing out some numbers here, just some simple numbers because I'm going to tie it all in. But here we have governor. This was on November the 8th. Final was 53.43% with a little over 2.1 million votes versus Stacey Abrams, who was, the news media was running with her favorite to win, of course, and she only had 45%, almost 46% at 1.8 million votes. Now, I know there's a lot of numbers coming out, but the difference there was 298,857 votes. So roughly 300,000 vote difference between the governor, right? So if you're going in the general election, and you would think that most people will vote down ballot, or at least in this election, right? Because that's what everybody was talking about, voting down ballot. I mean, even if Walker had gotten 40,000 more votes, right? And I think, let me make absolutely sure that I said earlier, the difference in this last election was 96,613 votes, right? The difference in the November 8th between Walker and Warnock was 36,465. Okay, very, very close. That's what caused the runoff. So you look at the numbers of Brian Kemp, Stacey Abrams, roughly 300,000 vote difference. And if Walker had gotten 40,000 votes, that still would have left a difference of 258,000, roughly 260,000, right? 300,000, 40,000. So that is a very, very narrow margin. It's also questionable how in the world could Brian Kemp manage to get that many votes, all right, and Herschel Walker not get that many votes. That's pretty crazy, right? It's just really, really crazy that could happen. Now, I'm not saying that it's an anomaly and it didn't happen. What I'm saying is we question everything, and the numbers just don't seem to add up. I don't know how many people could. I mean, this would suggest that a whole lot of people specifically picked their candidates, right? Now, from what I'm hearing more about the ballot harvesting and the mail-in ballots and all these things, that a lot of these ballots people do vote like that for single. They don't vote down ballot. I don't know. I've not seen one of these things. I'm going to do a lot more research into it, but I'm just specifically showing you the difference was 36,000 on November 8th. The difference on December 6th was 96,000, or roughly 97,000, right? If you round it up, and that is totally crazy from the November 8th numbers. So, I mean, anybody that would look at these numbers in the right mind would say, how did this happen, right? And I find it interesting, too, on the Senate, that if you look at the December 6th runoff, it's like 1.8 million, one-off 1.7 million, and then the November 8th was 1.9, 1.9. So that's all these things just are questionable, you know. Now, why am I bringing all this up? I'm bringing all this up because right after the election, there was quite a bit of, you know, people dragging people in the mud. Let's talking about Dominion, talking about how people didn't come out and vote this time. There's just so much negativity, and I understand that there's negativity through all this because everybody's very passionate about this election. This election was the swing election in the country for the Senate, but I started getting pretty perturbed because I am somewhat of a conspiracy theorist. My problem with all this is the absolutism and just pointing fingers and blame. Okay, because in all actuality, Walker was never going to win this election. I said it a month ago, right after the election. There's no way. The same thing that happened back in 2020 during the special runoff. I mean, it's just not in the cards, and we wonder why it's not in the cards. And we've looked through all of this circumstantial evidence. We've looked at the people that have gotten just completely buried about the theories, about the voting systems, and I'm trying not to go into like crazy world, right? But we find out that we come to this a place where ballot harvesting now is like is a household name, ballot harvesting. So we know ballot harvesting is legal. You know, it's legal to do these things in these states. It's kind of crazy. So we have to look into this a lot more because we as conservatives don't know a lot about ballot harvesting. We go and we put in our votes, and if we apply for absentee votes, we go in person and apply for absentee voting and all these things. But obviously, there's something going on here where the votes are. I mean, when you have ballot harvesting, nobody really knows a lot about what's going on with it, right? And so that's now in the mainstream. That's what they're talking about: ballot harvesting, ballot harvesting. So whatever you think about the Dominion voting systems, and we can't really go off into that tonight because naturally we're on YouTube and we're on Facebook, and I mean, we don't have all the evidence. But let me explain a little bit. You know, I've explained this in previous YouTube videos. Dominion voting systems are and I didn't bring up the information, but it's a proprietary company, right? They work on their own equipment. They service their own equipment. They hold the keys to the codes to their equipment, all of these different things. So obviously, if you're that kind of a company and it involves the extraneous circumstances that we've faced in the last few years, all right, predating Donald Trump, right, back to Hillary Clinton and other elections, then obviously these things are questionable. And the reason I bring it up is because if somebody is questioning the election systems, there seems to be a whole lot of flack about bringing it up and moving forward and all these things. All right. And I find this very odd that this conversation is happening now while the Twitter files are being dumped into the mainstream. Because you have these crazy conspiracy theories about people being shadow banned, people being kicked off of platforms, Facebook jail. I mean, you can call it whatever you want to, but I had actual physical equipment that was damaged through this. the leaders of the 2A groups on Facebook all got kicked off roughly 5 to 6 days before the election back in 2020, and we couldn't even post anything. No alarms, no anything, just you're off. And then it took me about 6 days before I realized, oh, I'm back online, after checking each day. So I know these things were real. But my whole point to all this is how can we sit there and sling mud at each other about anything when we need to be questioning everything to an absolute T? I mean, look at what the Twitter files are doing right now. Now, mind you, they're not doing a whole lot, right? Because the media's not covering the Twitter files. They're trying to continue to say this is bogus, the Hunter Biden laptop. But I could bring up 100 different articles, right? But we all know that what's being released is irrefutable proof of the election meddling, of the blacklisting, the child exploitation, all of these things, and moving into Dr. Fauci, which again I can't cover here, but there's a plethora of information out there that we can look at. But my point to all this is, I mean, what do we need to do as voting conservative, voting Republicans? We need to start ballot harvesting. It's apparently legal. And a lot of people brought up SB 202. Okay. Now, let me explain something. And I'm not trying to throw shade here. SB 202 was touted as some kind of magical fix for the elections in Georgia. When I first read through this bill and saw all these people touting the SB 202, I'm reading through the bill and I'm thinking, how on earth are we even celebrating this? Because it means that our election process was that out of sync with reality, that after all of this 2016, 2020, our state decided, in COVID, right? Our state came up with this glorious conservative bill to fix the election process in Georgia. And you can agree or disagree, but if you read through SB 202, nearly everything that was in that bill should have already been the standard for the election process. Okay? It wasn't a celebration. It was like, I don't know what it was. Was it saving face? I just don't get it. Because all of those things in there, nearly, should have already been the standard for the voting process in Georgia, and yet it wasn't. So there you go. I mean, when you really think about all these things, and everybody is entitled to their opinion. I'm doing my opinion here, and I'm trying not to go too deep into it, right? I'm just generalizing things, but if you can't question everything, then what are we even doing? We're just going to let these people trample all over us. So yeah, I have no problem with anybody questioning anything. I have no problem with anybody continuing to bring up these situations. Now, I want to move on to another part when it comes strictly to Dominion, without going into conspiracy land or anything like that. But there's a documentary, and I covered, and I also got a community strike for it, but it's called Kill Chain. It was an HBO documentary. I can't show it to you right now because I don't have a TV and everything set up, but it's called Kill Chain, a cyber war on America's elections. Okay? It was done in 2020. And it was specifically done after the 2016 election between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, right? So I'm going to open up this tab right here, and I'm just going to see if I can find it. There's a trailer. You can go on IMDb, anywhere else, but it was a Finnish hacker, who's the one that made the film. Finnish hacker and election expert Harri Hursti investigates election-related hacks, uncovering just how unprotected voting systems really are. Okay, HBO paid for this documentary. It goes in great detail, going all the way back to electronic voting back in the 90s, early 2000s. And this was done and released in 2020 during COVID, during lockdown. And if you watch this particular documentary, there's actually, I think, two documentaries. There's an older one relating to some of this stuff. It's absolutely amazing and worth your time to check it out. Now, I've said this before to anybody, everybody. If you look at the Kill Chain documentary and understand that the narrative is in favor of the Democrat side of this equation from 2016, okay? And that's where they were investigating from. It was perfectly okay, perfectly legit to question election manipulation, right? That's the way I'm going to put it. All right. And at some point between that and 2020, it became you're going to get put in Facebook jail. You're going to get kicked off every platform. You understand that this is the dialectics I'm talking about of the narrative, right? We'll cover that in a little bit. But after watching that documentary, how could you not question the actual voting systems? Okay. Once you find out who's in charge, what countries are involved, how closed looped the system is, and then how they could release this. That like you couldn't release this documentary now. You dang sure couldn't do it if you were, a conservative filmmaker. It would just be completely banned everywhere. So what they did with this Kill Chain documentary, basically, they've just shadow banned it. They've made it to where you can't bring it up, you can't talk about it, you can't show it, you can't mention it. And who knows? I'll probably get something, I don't know, for this. But it's just, if you watch that documentary, you realize where the mindset, where the narrative was back then, when they were trying so hard to prove that these systems could be hacked and manipulated. Yet, when we get to the next election during COVID, when everything's screwed up, when SB 202 isn't even a thought, and then all of a sudden they've got to suppress this information. Okay? It's absolutely ridiculous. I'm just trying to get you to understand that you must question everything. Now is not the time to stop questioning and to move forward. There's no reason to move forward because what are you going to move forward to? Where are we going to move forward from here? You know, if it were the Republicans doing the ballot harvesting, what do you think would the narrative would be with the Democrats if they weren't ballot harvesting? Okay. Now, normal Republicans that I can see, and I'm not saying this is all one-sided. I am not giving the Republican Party an out here. I'm simply saying, and by the way, I don't know if anybody's even in here. I can't read comments. I can't see anything. Lord knows. So if you're leaving comments, I will try to get back with you. But so it's not showing me any. It's showing my metrics, but it's not showing that anybody's here. So again, what would happen if the shoe were on the other foot? Okay, it's always a one-sided victory. No matter if it's Maricopa County or Michigan or wherever, we were gaslit at the very least. Okay, with the red wave that caught us all by surprise. And we covered this before. I'm not going into that, but I'm saying that it's always this way with this narrative. You want to move forward? You want to move forward? Well, what are you going to move forward to? That's my question for everybody. What are we going to move forward to? Because if we don't play the game, if we don't decide that we're going to go on a major ballot harvest in this next election, and then we're not going to get anywhere because it's going to end up just like the previous runoff. It's going to end up just like this Georgia runoff. It's going to end up, and don't think for a second that they haven't had a couple years to work through all of the little mundane details to get things to level out where they look halfway decent. That's why I brought up the numbers in the beginning, because the numbers just don't look right to me. I don't know how you could have a governor slot that literally beats the Democrat position by almost 300,000 votes, and she had way more money. And a lot of people, Kemp was not in their favor, and they still went out and voted for him anyway. But how on earth could they vote that high for Brian Kemp and not for Herschel Walker? And we're talking about even if he had the 40,000 votes, which the the difference was 36,000, right? So just give them a few extra thousand, but you still have a 258,000, almost 259,000 deficit for Kemp against, or not for Walker. Now, I mean, we all know Walker's not the favorite, right? We're voting for him because he was going to be the gatekeeper. He was going to be the one in Georgia. And I really appreciate everybody that really took their time out to vote and get involved, you know, because that was big numbers. Maybe it wasn't big numbers here in the 14th district. Maybe we can look down the analytics. I get it, but a lot of people really did stand up and vote, and it's kind of like feels like we're being trampled on with all this division. So, like I said, specifically regarding the voting machines, all you need to do is go look up, watch the documentary Kill Chain, understand what year it came out, what the narrative was when it came out. And in fact, it probably came out a little bit too late, but it was hid between the lockdowns. And now you can't even talk about it. Just like you can't bring up anybody that's a non-Republican that would question these situations, all right? So now go back to the same thing. What are the Republicans going to do? What are they doing? They're constantly giving up space. They're constantly giving up territory. We're like reactionaries, right? We're just reactionaries. We're reacting to the news. Okay? It is so crazy to me because you've got all this division right now when people saying you need to quit questioning this, you need to move along, move along. Where are you moving along to? That's what I want to know. Because it seems to me like we're dead in the water, man. I don't know where that we're going to move on to. Okay? That's some serious, legit questions. I want to talk. I want people to, tell me, what am I missing here? Where are we moving along to? Now, the same time, the Twitter files have been released, and I'm going to cover this a little bit. I'm not going into detail on every single thing. Why? Because there's so much information out there, and I'm a working man, But if you don't think, okay, there's a map that Steve Tarvin released. He was one of our representatives, and it showed just how much the demographics changed in the state as far as like how people are voting. Right, the state is purple. We knew the state was purple, but it's not becoming redder. It's becoming more purple with each passing day. We've covered this ad nauseum. Atlanta is the new Hollywood. All the money's flowing in. All of the, people love this state. It's a beautiful state. Excuse me. We're not red anymore. The problem with us up in the 14th district is that we're super, super red. We are in our own echo chamber. Okay? Things that happen everywhere else don't always necessarily happen here. Okay? We're surrounded by people who generally agree. We're surrounded by people that don't necessarily have different viewpoints as us. We're surrounded, in the most part, by being able to, we accidentally left our car unlocked last night. Okay, it was no big deal, right? It happens, but it doesn't happen on the levels. That's what I've been screaming this whole time, and it's what I don't know how to move forward from here. I don't know where to go. But we are in an echo chamber up in the 14th district because we are super, super red. We're the reddest area in the entire state. I think we're the top 5 in the U.S. Why do I bring that up? Because of all the division. Move along, nothing to see here. Where are we going to move along to? Because sooner or later, the purple's coming for us, So what do you do about that? So in the midst of all this, I know there's passion and everybody's upset, which I don't know how you could be upset, really. Walker was never going to win. Okay, you can look at it. Yes, I don't want to destroy the hope. I don't want people to think that they shouldn't be out doing it. Right? What am I doing here? Nothing really. I'm just talking. But I mean, I'm genuinely trying to move things forward. I'm not going to move along, but I will move forward. But it's just very all right. It's just very disheartening to see the division and hear the division. Everybody's got their opinions. I've got my opinion here. You've got your opinion. I get it. But man, I'm not gonna crap on people that are questioning everything. I can't. I'm not gonna do it because everything needs to be questioned. Now I'm rambling a bit, but here we go back to the Twitter files. So we're here at the Twitter files. Now, so far there's been at least 6 dumps, I believe, right? I've got part 1, which was let's see here. I'm gonna open it real quick. He was given to independent journalist Matt Taibbi. It focused. Let's see here. Just open this tab so I can kind of keep things in the forefront here. 5 installments of the Twitter files have been shared so far. The initiative, backed by new Twitter CEO Elon Musk, aims to shed light on free speech suppression and content moderation. Right. So part 1 focused on social media platforms' decision in 2020 to limit the spread of a story from the New York Post about Hunter Biden's laptop. You ask, well, I don't care about Twitter. I don't have Twitter. I don't need Twitter, blah, 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 blah. Well, let me tell you something. In the midst of everything we've got going on, we've got a billionaire who bought this company and who is releasing the smoking guns, releasing the evidence. And all those little tinfoil hat people like myself, all the people that are questioning all these things and constantly getting dragged through the mud, guess what? Vindication. Here we are. The proof is in the pudding, right? He's got the proof that he's releasing from day to day to day. Now, I could care less, honestly, about Twitter. Twitter, I got back on it. I've noticed it's gotten immensely better since I started even a few weeks ago. But we have this man that's releasing all of this information, vindicating the conspiracy theories, right? It's no longer conspiracy theories. It's fact. It's conspiracy fact. So we know now what was said all along. We know that for 2 years they've been sitting on this Hunter Biden laptop. They've even confirmed that it's real. And it has nothing to do much with Hunter Biden. It's all about Joe Biden and the lies and the narrative and the manipulation and the money. And there it is. And you can go look it up. I've read some of it, but I haven't had to sit down and do like a deep dive. Instead, I've been watching, several of media or social media platforms about it. But that was the part 1. Okay. And we can go into it, but I'm going to move it along. The Twitter files part 2. All right. Included images of what appeared to be an internal Twitter system that marked accounts on various blacklists. Okay. So they had direct lines of the White House. They could blacklist people, whoever they wanted to. Yes, it went both ways, but if you look at the context, I mean, it's all right there. And I mean, first choice, it was far more on one side. Like I said, it always benefits one side. There's your part 2. And you can go into each one of these. They're easy to find, but if you go through the mainstream or just type it in Google, you can get 1,000 mainstream platforms that are all basically just writing this off as a nothing burger nonsense, but it's not. Okay, it's the real deal. Just Twitter files part 3. The 3rd installment reported that Twitter was in communication with a list of government groups. Okay, this sparked controversy whether Twitter made decisions based on the influence of its employees or of the government. So, quote, Twitter files number 3 focused on internal discussions about banning Trump and also revealed FBI meetings with Twitter security executives and Twitter files. Okay, now we know that they just recently came out with the FBI informant, who was a lawyer for Twitter, that while the first dump was being given to Matt Taibbi, he was trying to go through these things and he was trying to vet this stuff. And Elon Musk set him up. They sent out an email chain and they put a special space in between all the names so they could figure out who the informant was. And bam, he answered the email back and they found him and fired him immediately. And turns out he was ex-FBI. So now we have the revelation that not only our government, but our government agencies such as the CIA, Operation Mockingbird, Operation Paperclip, the FBI are all involved in this stuff, right? We knew this from the beginning, but we never had this kind of proof, and here it is. So now we know our government is meddling, our government is colluding, our institutions are colluding, our corporations are colluding. It's absolutely crazy. And yes, I could spend a whole hour on telling you exactly what all this is, but I want you to understand the importance of it, because we live here in the 14th district. I know a lot of people that don't care about Twitter. I really don't care about Twitter, but I care about this, especially when people are telling me to move along, move forward. Twitter Files, Part 4. Okay. Author Michael Shellenberger released Part 4 of the Twitter Files. It uncovered information about some Twitter employee reactions to the January attack on the U.S., or January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. Now, I can read all these, and I'm going to give you the link, but I'm not going to. But basically, they were trying to incite that, Donald Trump using the word patriot. Patriot means extremism. That's how they were able to kick him off. I mean, there's so many revelations that are coming out of all this. Number 4 shows that Twitter executives allegedly reinterpreted their terms of service as a pretext to suspend the former president right after the riots. Whereas Shellenberger tweeted that on January 7th, the execs created justifications to ban Trump, sought to change policy for Trump alone, distinct from other political leaders, and expressed no concern for the free speech or democracy implications of a ban. Now, you had people like Angela Merkel coming out saying this was dangerous. I mean, you had other world leaders saying this is crazy. Well, we didn't see all that. But here it is. The actual evidence is out on display. Twitter Files Part 5, the 5th part, revealed by Bari Weiss on Monday, which was this past Monday, yesterday, detailed the alleged culture inside Twitter. Musk summed up the culture, tweeting, "Under pressure from hundreds of activist employees, Twitter deplatforms Trump, a sitting U.S. president, even though they themselves acknowledge he didn't violate the rules." He didn't violate the rules. We know he didn't violate the rules. But now we know he didn't violate the rules. And they know he didn't violate the rules, right? The release of Twitter Files comes just over a month after Musk acquired Twitter. Man, he's moving quick, right? And he's got more. If you know anything about the tweet about Fauci, my pronouns are arrest and Fauci. So not my words, his. So obviously we're going to see some things come up about that. Never mind the information that's coming out about how the virus was man-made in the lab, and people, I can't name names here, but if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. I mean, it's crazy that we cannot talk about any of this stuff because we know, and it's coming out every single freaking day. Okay. So back to my point about moving along. So let's talk about Donald Trump for just a second. What are we going to do with Donald Trump? People are already screaming, Trump, get out of the way. DeSantis. And DeSantis hasn't really said he's going to run yet. And I'm not here advocating for Donald Trump. I'm going to let Donald Trump be Donald Trump. I'm going to let DeSantis be DeSantis. Okay? But given the light of this information that is coming out from Twitter, put yourself in that man's shoes. For starters, 2016 was rough enough because he went against Clinton and everybody. I don't care who you are. There might have been 5 people in the U.S. that fell asleep that night and actually thought that Donald Trump would be the president the next day. And it sent shock waves through the entire U.S., through the entire mainstream media, through the entire government. And overnight, they turned on him, right? I mean, they turned on him before the election. We talked about it the last live stream. And what did he really get to do as president? We had a Republican majority of everything for the first 2 years of his presidency. What did they get done? Nada. Not very much. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm a policy man. Trump's policies blew everybody else away. But how much support did he really have? He was constantly being attacked. The man couldn't take a shit without being attacked. I mean, he 2 scoops of ice cream. I always go back to 2 scoops of ice cream, which that guy got let go of CNN this past week, whatever his name is. I'm going to waste my breath on it. But you see my point? And then what happened in late 2018, 2019? COVID. All of a sudden, we shut down the entire U.S. We shut down the world, for God's sake. We're still reeling from it. Parts of the world are still shut down from it. And it doesn't have to be a genius to go back and look at time and see what the man was up against. All right, it's crazy. So here we go. Fast forward to 2022, and now all these revelations are coming out, and people are gaslighting each other, saying we need to move along. We can't have another Trump presidency, blah, 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 blah. Let me tell you something, man. If that was you and you'd been treated that way, and then come to find out that you were right all along, that you had done nothing wrong and you were right, and you got robbed of your presidency, I think I'd want to run for president again myself. You get what I'm saying? I'm not telling you that we shouldn't back DeSantis or whoever. I don't care, to be honest with you, where this moves forward, because I'm sick of it, right? We're all kind of sick of it. But to divide the party, who's really doing the division when you're telling people that they should just move along? That's my whole point. You think that Trump's just going to stop? Do you want Trump to stop? I don't. I want him to go bull in a china shop. I voted for the man because he was a punk rocker presidency. I voted for the man because he was non-establishment. I love Ron DeSantis. I think he's great. But let me tell you something, man. If you don't understand what's going on here and how these dialectics narratives are working on us, and dividing us even further, I don't know why people are drinking the Kool-Aid. But I mean, I have a theory. I mean, the establishment Republicans never wanted Donald Trump to run. They never wanted him. They were scared of the man. They didn't want him in there. They didn't want to support him. They had to go along with everything. And he still got attacked hand over fist and didn't even get a rightful presidency. And for that to be, what's the word I'm looking for? Have been relieved of the position, to have somebody up there like Joe Biden, for God's sakes. I mean, that's a low blow to anybody. I mean, it is a low blow, but that just, like I said, goes to show you where we're at in politics, right? Why? Because Republicans are more independent. The Democrats have herd mentality. They are low information voters that will vote with the stream. Republicans, that's why you get all the ballot harvesting on the Democrat side. They don't give two craps. They got somebody going around with a whole bunch of ballots. Hey, fill this out, vote for this person, fill this out, and we'll dump it in the box. Now, you don't see that going on with Republicans, but we're going to have to. You want to move along? I want somebody to tell me how to move along. How do we move along from this? How? Because I don't see it. I really don't see it. Where are you going to move to? I mean, what you think that it's going to be any better with Ron DeSantis up there? Do you think? I mean, the gaslighting of the red waves? Do you think that any of this is going to be better? Do you look at the way that they're treating the Twitter files right now in the media? Tell me how it's going to be better when you have the e-smoking guns, when it is there in hand over fist right there in front of you to go through and to look at. Where is our judicial system at? I know this takes time, but are we going to have people step up? Are they going to be able to have a free and fair election? Because apparently you cannot have a free and fair election in D.C. So I don't know where people want to move forward to, but we've got nowhere to move forward to. I mean, we're just degrading ourselves, sitting here whining and crying and pointing the finger at everybody. I'm going to tell you right now, if it was any one of you and you'd been treated like Donald Trump had been treated, especially after through all of that, he did do so many good things. Now, of course, he didn't do it perfect. Of course, he's boneheaded and he's a butthole and he tweets. You know what? None of that concerns me. Never has concerned me. I'm a policy person, and that's a breakdown of Republicans are more policy based. What are you doing in policy? Democrats, they could care less. Oh, you want me to vote for Fetterman? Oh, okay, I'm gonna vote. how do you move forward against that? That's my whole point. How do you move forward against any of this? So everybody needs to calm down with all this because Donald Trump is going to run again. And if you don't like it, so what? Vote against it. I don't know what to tell you, but I'm not going to tell people to have a herd mentality and vote, straight party lines. I'm not going to do that. I mean, we did that already. We did it with Brian Kemp. And look where it got us. Yes, we've got Brian Kemp elected. 300,000 votes more than Stacey Abrams, which was Stacey's a celebrity, for God's sakes. But look at the difference between Walker and Warnock. And don't tell me that I can't look at that and scratch my head and be like, what's we got going on here? No matter what it is. Any of it is election manipulation. And we have the smoking guns of election manipulation all over the place right now that's being heavily suppressed. It's not being taken seriously. People just don't care about it. People don't want to take the time to read it. They don't want to take the time to understand it. And you got the select few people who are. And then you look at the judicial system and you think, well, where can we go with this? What can we do with it? They tried to paint Trump through one of his truth tweets to say that he was ready to tear down the Constitution. That's the biggest load of crap I've ever seen in my life. You go back and read it, you put it in the context, you understand exactly what he's saying. He was saying, given the nature of this kind of fraudulent processes, this could mean that you could the Constitution wouldn't even count in this situation. You have to be a moron to read any otherwise into that. And we certainly have a lot of morons. But I am not here to call names or point out anything. I want to point the obvious out to you. That Donald Trump will run for president in 2024, regardless whether DeSantis or anybody else decides to run. And if it splits up this party or if it splits everything up, so be it, because people are tired. I am up here advocating. I'm tired. I'm ready to throw my hands out in the air. I'm just being honest with you. I'm ready to stop caring about voting anymore, especially if I have to play ball where I got to go and harvest a bunch of ballots. That's not how we operate. That's not what we want to do. I don't want to go out there and force some papers in people's hands and tell them, hey, I need you to vote for so-and-so, so-and-so, so-and-so. No, I want you to get off your ass and I want you to go do it. I want you to take part in it, right? Like everybody else. You notice I always say, just go vote. I don't try to always tell you to vote for. Sure, we'll tell people from time to time who we're voting for, but I just want you to go vote. I'd rather it be free and fair and have people show up and vote than I would have to fight against ballot harvesting boxes, for God's sake. But now, at this moment, and mind you, the goalpost, where has it been moved? SB 202? Really? I mean, 2020, 2016, 2022, what has changed? Nothing. They just got better at the numbers, man. They got better at doing whatever they do. They got better at the ballot harvesting. That's what happened. So now the Republicans, we got to play catch up, right? Okay, well, I'm gonna have to order 2 Xerox boxes full of ballots, and I'm gonna have to go door to door and say, "Hey, sign this," or whatever they do, because it's legal to do that. Either we fix the entire system from the ground up, or whatever. I don't know what to tell anybody. I'm not trying to tell you any. I'm just giving you my opinion. I'm not trying to tell you. I'm saying, look at all of these things, question everything. If this had been the other shoe and the Republicans have been ballot harvesting, you better believe that this thing would have been picked through with a fine-tooth comb all the way up and down the line, and something would have been found, but it always lands on one side. So where are you going to move forward to? That's what I want to know. Somebody show me, point me in the direction where we're moving forward to, because so far we haven't moved an inch. As far as I'm concerned, we haven't moved an inch since 2016, really. Show me where we have. It's the same exact thing, the same exact runoff, the same exact outcome. It's the same thing I told you was going to happen. And no, you don't have to go Dominion. You don't have to even do that. But any form of it, Any part of what's going on here is fraudulent. Simple as that. It needs to be investigated, looked into, and it needs to be rebuilt where this kind of stuff can't happen. It's not going to be. Ballot harvest is not going away. You ain't got enough. You ain't got enough Republicans with enough balls to get up and do anything about it. You've got a very, very minute few that are standing up and screaming. They're anti-establishment. They're anti-big government. They're trying to move the ball forward. But you've got the establishments. You've got the rhinos. You've got the neocons. You've got all these cool little sounding word, different people, and nobody can come together. And so be it. Because the time, I can't, a lot of people, talk to a lot of people who specifically went and voted for Herschel Walker, never voted in their life before. I can't tell you how many. I can tell you 20 people I know right now. Yeah, you got your regular voters that I see every day, and I've talked to several. They said, well, I did it. I got up. Thanks, Roy. I did what you said. Got up and voted, and look, the man still lost. I'm not voting anymore. Can you blame them? Is that what you want to do? Point your fingers and chastise those people? No, because I don't even want to vote anymore. Really? I'm just being honest with you. I don't. I care less about it. I know the outcome already, but I'm not. I'm not going to give up, right? I mean, that's what I preach on. Don't give up. Come on here on a Tuesday night and do a live stream and talk about this crap. Anyway, I hope I've made my point clear. And if it pisses you off, it pisses you off. It pisses me off, whatever. I'm not out here to throw shade. We can always talk. And hopefully this is going out because, like I said, everything's up. My metrics are good, but nobody's here. And that's perfectly fine. Don't get me wrong. Perfectly fine. I'm averaging like upwards of 200, maybe even more, that are watching these. So I know it's getting out there, and a lot of people are commenting me after the fact. That's great. But think all of these things through before you tell everybody to move forward. All right? Because where are you going to move forward to? We're dead in the water. We haven't moved forward. Now, let's see what happens in 2023. Let's see what happens with this new batch of people coming in. Let's see what happens. But we have the smoking gun. We have the Twitter files. We have this information out there. And to me, this is the best time to stop moving and to stand up and scream to the hilltops. We have this evidence. Because if you think that it was just Twitter alone, you're sadly mistaken. We all know what Facebook does to us. I see people going in and out of Facebook jail all the time, and I don't see anything that they're going to jail for. I'm by rights, by my standards and by my strike standards, me just up here talking, I should be completely banned from these platforms. But I'm not, so I don't know how this crap works. Maybe they're getting into fights with people in comments, people report them, I don't know. But we have the evidence of all of these conspiracy theories coming out now, and you want to move along. Well, Donald Trump's not going to move along, and he shouldn't. He shouldn't move along. Even if I'm talking about even if I didn't like the man. And honestly, I could care less whether he runs again or not, because I know the outcome of the system. I know where we're really at, right? And it doesn't mean that you should stop. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't participate. But I already know the outcome of the situations. I'm hopeful and faithful, and I want to bestow that on everybody else. You should always remain hopeful and faithful. I'm never going to point the finger at anybody. I'm not even going to point the finger at the metrics. I'm just pointing out the obvious. But Donald Trump's going to run again, and you might as well get used to it now. I'm not saying you even got to get on board, but whether DeSantis decides to run or not or whatever is a moot point. The man was not given his fair share, and if it was anybody else that I knew, I'd say you better get out there and get it, because all we do is continue to give up and give more and take less, and it's so disheartening. Now, I'm not going to get into dialectics because I've covered this for the majority, and I want to get a few news stories. But I put out a post about dialectics. I'm really getting involved in like deep diving into dialectics, because everything I just said has got to do with dialectics. And I urge you to check out Jay Dyer, his YouTube channel. I happened to catch one of his segments on InfoWars, in which I watch him every week anyway. there, and he was recapping a discussion of the dialectics. And so I went to the other YouTube channel, which is linked to his. It's like a 3-hour discussion, and it's mind numbing. It makes you want to go to sleep. It doesn't really even get started good till about 20-30 minutes into it, and the next couple hours is like, wow. But according to him, if we as conservatives, if we as a Republican Party or whatever you want to call it, do not come to grips with dialectics and understand where they came from, how they're used, and how relevant it is to nowadays, then we're never going to move forward. And I kind of believe him. And I'm not up here. I don't know all the stuff about it. I'm not an expert. I'm kind of stupid most of the time, right? But I'm really wanting to figure out, like, I want these questions answered. Like, how do we move forward? Because people are telling you, just move forward, move forward. Where am I moving forward to? Where are we moving forward to? We're moving forward right into a damn camp somewhere, We're moving forward into the Great Reset. We're moving forward into transhumanism, That's what we're moving forward to. I don't really want to move forward into that, I'd rather kind of stop right now and say, hey, wait a minute. We're not going to discard these last 6 years. We're going to give our amnesty. We've got what we needed, and you're going to restore something, You're going to come off of something, this ESG score, this transhumanistic great great reset that is very alive and well, mind you, whether you believe it or not. And just like Twitter, you may not care about it because you live here in the 14th district and you still got a job and you still go to the grocery store and you're still surrounded by people that agree with you. But whether that doesn't matter, because this stuff is going to affect you. It's the only reason why I bring it up. Twitter is affecting us. Twitter, we've got the smoking gun in our hands right here about all of these things and more coming. Yet people are saying, don't you dare. You need to stop talking about this. Stop talking about it. No, the buck stops here. We don't stop talking about anything because all we do is talk. And then we shrug our shoulders, and then a week later, what happens? It's just fake news. It's lost in the internet abyss. And you can point every bit of this stuff back to George Bush's Patriot Act 2001. Very simple. Go down that rabbit hole. Look up the Patriot Act and then see where we're at today. Don't tell me this wasn't part of a plan. Okay? I only got a few more minutes because I'm trying to keep it below an hour and I'm not going to make it. But let's see. I think I covered everything that I wanted to cover. I hope that you're really, really thinking about this in the future, because this is probably my last talk about the election, especially the Georgia election, because I'm done with it. I know you are too, but I just want everybody to. You can't forget about the Benghazis, and you don't thrive on the past, but you can't forget about WikiLeaks, Julian Assange, Edward Snowden. You can't forget about September 11th. You can't forget about the Patriot Act. You can't forget about the war, the Afghanistan war. You can't forget about these things, because you go back and you paint. It's like putting together a jigsaw puzzle, and you realize where you're at in this present time is because of all of these cogs going together. And you think that the transhumanism is just a bunch of crap. Well, sorry. I mean, I get it. I know it's not going to affect me because I'll go down in a fight. But it's still going to affect us. It's going to affect our family. I mean, look at what we got going on here. And I'm purposely not going to talk about World War III right now, which we are in, whether you like it or not. And each day that goes forward, it escalates more and more and more. And I would say this, if you're not seeking information, because you're definitely not getting it. I mean, you're not getting it in the mainstream media. They're not even covering it. You have to go to alternative sources to even know what's halfway going on, or what's even the smoke screens that are being put up. So, I would like to talk a little bit more about that later, but I want to get all this election junk out of the way, because people say move forward. Where are we moving forward to? But I thought this was very interesting, just to kind of Mindy Kaling, there was an article from Daily Wire. Mindy Kaling, who was a writer on, she was Kelly Kapoor on The Office, was one of my favorites. I love The Office, but she wrote, in I don't know where the actual interview is from. This is from Daily Wire. Mindy Kaling says The Office is so inappropriate now, and most characters would be canceled. So, The Office didn't even come out that long ago, and ran for 10 seasons, and it was the most streamed show ever in the history of streamed shows. And one of the head writers that was one of the main characters on that show is basically coming out saying, well, their kids watch it. It's absolutely inappropriate material. And it's so inappropriate now. And this is where we're at in La La Land. It may not be inappropriate to you. You're going to go home and watch The Office or watch whatever you want to watch. But this is your country that's telling you that The Office, the show The Office, is inappropriate to watch now. So welcome to the future, right? Now, this was one I found very interesting as well. This is from Metro. Now, this isn't real, but it's coming. World's first artificial womb facility is creepy glimpse of pregnancy in the future, okay? And it's a video you can find online. It's called Ectolife, and this is from Metro News, okay? Able to grow 30,000 babies a year is said to be based on over 50 years of groundbreaking scientific research. The concept is the brainchild of Berlin-based Hashim Al-Ghali, a biotechnologist and science communicator. He says the facilities would allow infertile couples to conceive a baby and become the true biological parents of their own offspring. A so-called elite package would allow you to genetically engineer the embryo before implanting it into the artificial womb. And if you go to Metro News, it's metro.co.uk. Anyway, there's a whole video on it, but looks just like the Matrix, man. I mean, just like it. And anyway, you can read that for yourself, but that sounds like sci-fi. But here we are in the metaverse. And here we are. I know it's not up here in the 14th district, but it's coming, you know. Digital currency coming. IRS, 87,000 coming. One thing I didn't pull up here, of course, FTX, Sam Bankman-Fried, he was arrested finally. I'm not even going to cover that. We got several people I talked about crypto. Right now, crypto's in the crap house. Bad. Billions have been sold off in the last week. Anyway, it's just part of the collapse. But if you don't already know, they changed the definition of a woman to include those that may not necessarily have been assigned that at birth, basically. Now, I was going to take over here and get my dictionary. Actually, I'll do it right now real quick. Why not? Who cares? Hold on. This would be a good one to end on. Webster's New World. Let me get back to my other screen. Webster's New World. Rogers. Oh, this is a thesaurus. Where is my? Well, let's just go ahead and look it up real quick. It's not the one I didn't get the chance to finish this because I looked up at the clock and I was like, oh my God, it's time to go on. I'm trying to stay true to the time that I said. TUV. Let's see, where's woman? It may not even be in here. I don't know. Let's see. Where are we at? I know what a woman is. Regardless of what some stupid definition. But anyway, it's not in here. But you know what we'll do? We'll look it up real quick. Because if you haven't already heard of this, this is crazy. Now, this is nothing new. You know, if you've ever listened to George Carlin talk about different words, how they change over the course of years, like shell shock turns into something else, turns into post-traumatic stress syndrome. Let's see. Oxford Languages, woman. Well, let's see here. Translations and more definitions. Okay. Well, where's it at? That's I don't understand. Let me put this in real quick. I'm sure you guys have heard this. An adult female human being. They may have not changed it yet. Anyway, so they've changed the definitions of a woman now to basically include trans women. And like I said, I'm as ill prepared for that tonight, but I should have been more prepared. But my notes change from day to day because they can only do this like once a week. But they changed the definition to now be more inclusive, whatever you call it. And it's just a further down the spiral, you know. Further down the spiral we go. But anyway, if you don't already seen that, I'm sure your news feeds are showing it. In fact, I can look it up. It was just right here. Boy, we've got inflation coming. We've got so many things. And boy, I'm going to tell you, we're going to pay for it. Not to mention what's going on in the world right now. What's just going on all over the place. Poland, for example, China and India getting involved in a stick fight the other day on a border run. Ukraine flying drones into Russia, at least in 2 different places, and trying to bomb some of their planes. The nuclear talk right now is out of this freaking world. So we can sit here all day long talking about moving forward, but as long as this stuff's going on we have the president and the government we have, dear Lord, you know, moving forward. But I digress. Like I said, I really want to cover. I covered most of what I wanted to cover is about the election, and I'm done with the election. I got some good stuff coming up this year. We got several guests that we're going to start talking to. We're going to start talking about some local issues coming forward. I really want more community involvement, and hopefully I'll be able to stream more platforms and get more engagement. So, but this is it. I'm not talking about election any longer. Just connect all these dots and understand that there is no moving forward. Okay, it is what it is. Okay, and if you're going to call me an extremist for saying that I'm a patriot, okay, the patriots out there know that there is no moving forward. Okay, the patriotic ones might be the ones saying move forward. There's a difference. Okay, but let me tell you something. Ain't nobody moving forward. We haven't moved forward in years. And we just keep lying to ourselves thinking that we can try to play this game the honest way and succeed, and it doesn't work. And you know, if you didn't vote, you didn't vote. I mean, I feel you, fam. I get it. Wish you would have, but hey, I'm not throwing shade here. We ain't moving along yet. We can't even get people to walk up to the Twitter files, for God's sakes. The actual proof is coming out, right? Anyway, I digress. I appreciate it. I know, please, you can contact me if you want to be on one of the shows, one of the live streams. Contact me. Let me know that you want to come in and talk. We'll sit down. You know, I'm pretty open to a discussion, and I want to have good discussions. I want people to talk about different stuff. I don't want to sit here in my own echo chamber. I want to hear ideas that make me a little uneasy and things that I might not necessarily agree with, because it makes me want to think about things. And when we get in our own echo chambers, that's where we start doing the blame game. No, bull. You know, the only way we move forward is going to be uncomfortably, okay? Because the time of trying to do things the right way and the honest way, it doesn't work. You're going to have to play ball. It means every single person out there that votes Republican is going to have to bring a stack of ballots to harvest, to put in a box somewhere that they went around to 50 people and got their signatures in order to win anything from here on out. And then as soon as you do that, as soon as you Because believe me, you think the Democrats can do it. The Republicans, we can go out and get some signatures, man. I can go out and get I can go get 1,000 right now, you know? The minute Republicans start winning with ballot harvesting, guess what? It goes down the tube. The narrative changes. All of a sudden it's bad. All of a sudden we're investigating all these things. We're going to go in and we're going to investigate all this because the Republicans did it, because the conservatives did it. Understand? It's not all that simple. We're not moving along to anything. Be ready for Donald Trump, because it's going to be a wild ride going forward. And I can't wait to see it. You know, I really do. My anarchist side to me just can't wait to see it. Anyway, I'm fixing to get off here. Oh, God, it's 1 hour and 10 minutes. You must be bored out of your mind. You can follow me here. You can share Kingdom Lum Small Town with anybody, and I'll usually friend anybody as long as they're not some creep or bot or weirdo that my kind of weirdo, don't get me wrong. You're in. I'm talking about the weird, creepy, groomy weirdos. We have Silent No Longer, along with several of the 2A groups. You can search it. You can ask to join it now. We finally, put it up there. We're able to put it up there where you can actually search it and see it. If you're pro 2A, you can join that group, and there's a lot of great people with content. I've got Small Town Underground on YouTube. It's a channel. This is my second live stream. I had 13 episodes up, but I've gotten about 2 or 3 taken down. And we'll keep following that till we strike out, But I'm at least streaming in both places. You can go on YouTube, and if you like the content, man, you just subscribe to it. It just helps me out. It gets more things going. But right here is where I like to be. Didn't really get any comments tonight, and Lord knows I could be messed with here. I am on a new system, which is working really well. I'm proud of this. We're only going to move forward. Like I said, we're going to end up with a TV where everything I'm talking about you can see in real time, and all the links and everything. And this is just me by myself doing all this. Thank you to my sponsors. And the only way I'll keep doing this is if you keep engaging with me and let me know that you want me to do it, because I can just as easily hang this stuff up and go on about my day. But I feel like this is where I need to be. But we got some really cool stuff coming up. I'm going to do at least 1 to 2 before the end of the year, and then we're going to start with guests in January. So you guys move forward by standing up now, understanding that these things that aren't happening in your life, the Twitter and Elon Musk and all the Balenciaga and the schools, okay, don't sit here in your own echo chamber and think just because you don't care about it that it's not going to affect you. Because I'm telling you right now, it's like a steamroller coming at us. Okay, you just got to be aware of this stuff. But I got one comment up. Well, we're going to end with this comment here. Thank you from Grace Augustad. I love your way of thinking. Be glad to join you. Like to discuss politics. Lifetime Republican, but did vote for independent against George Bush Sr. once. Understandable. Maybe not at the time, right? But we definitely can look back and understand that, right? We understand the paradigm, the left, right. It's the same, one and the same. We are changing that now, right? Some are just too ignorant and biased. I agree. I'm ignorant. I'm ignorant. Now, believe me, I don't like the politics. I've gotten into people before, but I wanted to try to keep the 2A separate from. You can't really do it, and I was stupid. I get it. At some point, they merge together, but God, politics drive me nuts, especially when it's division like this, because all we're doing is playing into the hands of the controllers that want this division. And it's just crazy to me. It goes back to the thinking about how on earth can you be standing there and hear something that someone says become so outraged that you just turn around and walk away. Like you can't let that person speak. I mean, what? Well, who are you? What side are you on? You know, we got to come together, folks. I don't know how to do it, so I'm looking for you. You tell me how to move forward, because people were saying last week we got to move forward. Well, tell me where to move forward to, because we ain't moved forward in years. Okay. The only thing to move forward is I thought I was going to be a head over heels Republican, and I'm now just an independent, because I cannot be in this paradigm right now. I can't do it. But I'm going to shut up here. And oh, one more comment. I agree that that one thing affects another, changes and such negative attitudes in control in politicians. You're right. You're right. It's the truth. And I will always vote the underdog. I will always vote for the non-establishment, because we know damn good well what the establishment is. And until that gets better, what are the Republicans doing for us? You know, what can they do? Anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. I'm gonna get off here because oh my God, 1 hour and 60 minutes. Thank you. I know that you'll watch it later. You can feel free to comment later in the next few days. I'll look at it and see if we can comment back. We'll line up some stuff, but I'm gonna do 2 more. This is my last one about the election, so please just be paying attention. You know, and I believe me, yeah, it's overwhelming. The news is overwhelming completely. I'll show you my notebook again for where day-to-day things change, but you guys have a great evening, and thank you so much for allowing me to do this. Good night. YouTube, thank you, and good night. It'll let me in. Ah, there it goes. Good night, everybody.